Hello and welcome to our daily market review and analysis. Thank you for joining me. It is Thursday after the US market close. We are going to go through the material we should have covered yesterday, which was basically looking at the yen pairs, and also we have Canadian pairs to look at today. So quite a bit to do, so let's get going. First of all, the Dow Jones Industrial 30 average appeared to have done another higher high and then subsequently reversed. So it looks like the market picked up from the opening and then wasn't able to hold to that, so it's come down. Now looking at the overall chart, let me take you to the daily. So looking at this overall chart is that we had the low here back in November, and it appears we've had a minor wave 1 and 2, and then all of this I think is a part of a wave 3. So for example, here is a 1, 2, this here is 3, then we had a 4, and I think this one is final 5. And the way it is split is that from here during this particular wave 3, this is here a wave 1 and 2, and then I think this is where we finished, which is an ending diagonal. So that must be wave 3, 4 and 5. So that gave us a complete wave 3. And then we have an unusual, as you can see on this 4-hour chart, is that we had a very sharp sell-off, and then when we had that sharp sell-off a couple of days ago, we were looking at that and we reasoned that that sharp sell-off looks almost like A, B and C, because it is not exactly 5 wave down, but you can see the first one here dropped down, so up to here is A, B, C to give us wave A, we're back, and then another A, B, C to the downside. So overall it's a wave A, and then this here appeared to be higher than where the wave A started from. And also if you look at this part here, it does not look like an impulsive leg to the upside. Although we can say here is possible 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but I think it is more like up to here. If I just indicate it with a line, up to there is possible wave A, so up to here is wave A, pull back, and then wave B, pull back, and then wave C, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 waves in them. So if that's correct, then you can see on the on the hourly chart is that this would be A and this would be B, so it's like an expanded flat. So we should see now A, B, C as a zigzag, A, B, C back as a zigzag. So we should see fairly strong sell-off tomorrow and probably early next week. If my interpretation is correct, then at least we expect this one to drop back to the base here, somewhere in the region of 13,800, or maybe even make a small lower low around 13,600, 13,700, and that would then complete what I believe is potential wave 4, with a view that we would then go and take out the all-time high, which today we didn't quite manage. Okay, so so next wave higher, if you look at it here for example, then this level here is where we had 2007 high. So today we managed to get close but didn't quite take it out, and I think after the retracement we will go and punch through, and I think that will be the final leg up that would take out the all-time high. And then from there we would expect quite a bit of correction to the downside. So I think today market went up in the opening, and then it gave up most of its gain, and in fact closed negative, and I think that will probably continue tomorrow, and I think that will also synchronize with the potential dollar topping out. In the oil, we are still declining, and we're still expecting it to continue. In terms of the wave count, is a little difficult. I would suspect that we were talking about this being wave 4 and this being 5. So since then we had wave A, wave B, and wave C. And wave A was A, B, C. So in a wave C, we should also see A, B, and C. So we're still waiting for that to continue developing or finalize. And I think if the index sells off tomorrow sharply, that will probably also get an oil to come down a bit more. And then we'll look at the dollar index to see what that one is doing. Now, based on the fact that we've been following this particular formation, which I think is what we are having here. So we've got ABC zigzag wave A up to here, then A, B, and C zigzag down here. So that created wave B in double parenthesis, and because they were zigzag, we should now expect the wave C to have a 5 wave in them, and I'm working on that basis, and so far it appears that on this 4-hourly chart we've had the wave 1 here, wave 2, and then wave 3 top, retracement to wave 4, and then currently we are now in an absolute final wave 5 portion of that particular cycle. And I have several fib projections. For example, if I do a retracement of the entire drop here from July high to September low, we come into the region over here, which is approximately 82 area, and that 82 is 61.8% retracement. Then if I project this leg, I get 127% coming in to around 82.15 area, this over here. And if I do the same again with this leg, then the 161.8% comes in into that area. So there are several Fibonacci confluences coming in, and then on the other side, looking at these here, if I was to project the length of this wave from wave 2, then I get 100 and I get, let me show you, it's 200%. So in other words, the length of this minor wave from here, 200% comes into that region. And then if I was to project this main one here, then that one comes in with 141%. So there are several Fibonacci confluences coming into that, and also to go with that, we have a divergence forming on the 4-hour chart. And in fact, if you look at it on a daily, we've got, even then we've got a minor divergence following, showing in the daily chart also. So I think we are very, very close. If I was to drop down and have a look at 15-minute chart, then you can just make up here, for example, that this is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to give us wave 1, wave 2, and then possibly this entire leg up to here is wave 3, or this could be 3, 4, and 5. But I think more than likely, I think this here, if I just draw a small channel in there, that I think is possibly wave 3. So wave 1, wave 2, so from here to here is wave 1, wave 2, then I think whole of this is the wave 3. We're currently retracing into wave 4, so we'll get a small pullback, and then finally into the potential topping area around 82 to 82.2 area. Okay, I think that's what we're expecting. So we should, in fact, with what it looks like, and often Friday being the day when many market either top or bottom on a Friday, this may quite well play out in that particular manner, with either a spike or a proper top being formed tomorrow with that 5 cycle we've done. Now after that, of course, we should then commence a new down leg, and the new down leg, of course, is not going to go into one straight sort of a line, but what I suspect we will see is the first leg down, for example, coming into that area where previously there was resistance or could potentially become support. Then we might get another bounce, so that will be wave 1, wave 2, and then maybe wave 3, something in that kind of order, small wave 4, and then possibly wave 5, or it might even turn up more like this, so that will give us a 5 wave down. And then of course we would expect another ABC rally back up, and then finally commence with a new downtrend like that. Okay, now that's the idealistic way of considering what might happen, but for the time being we are expecting tomorrow possibly dollar index might form a top. So if the dollar index possibly forms a top, then the equity market will sell off quite heavily, and quite possibly continue even on Monday, and then subsequently equities will continue higher if the dollar index tops tomorrow, or it forms a top on a Monday. You know, tomorrow, for example, we might retrace a little bit, and then on a Monday we might, you know, gap up after the weekend open and possibly form a top. Little difficult to say which way it will be, but we are in a very final stage of that top being formed. And the other thing to also note is that normally we are looking at wave 1. So the only factor we need to be sure of is this. So we had wave 1 and wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and I think we are in wave 5 now. Also, if the wave 5 is going to be longer than what we see here, so let me just show you here. You know, if this wave 5 appears to be too short in respect of the overall length, then there is a possibility that what we might see from here, okay, what we might see is that 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, that might form the first leg. So we might, for example, have that as a potential first wave, and then we might see a retracement, another leg higher, retracement, another leg higher. So we would see another separate 5 waves to the upside, and overall in that case we might still continue higher and probably top somewhere further from 82 to 83 area, maybe even all the way to here, which will be 78% retracement of the entire drop from July to September. I'm not expecting that, simply because even on the daily we've started forming a minor divergence. So I think we are in a very close proximity of top being formed, but we will keep our minds open to the fact that if we don't see what we are looking for developing over the next few days or later on next week, then it may be that we might have another minor 5 waves up to complete that 5 leg to the upside but I'm not expecting that at the moment. Okay, so I'll leave that dollar index there for the time being, and then we will look at the Canadian pairs we were going to look at yesterday, sorry, yen pairs we were going to look at yesterday. So let's have a look at them quickly, and then we will move on to the Canadian pairs. So first one is the US dollar yen. Now the US dollar yen, ever since we've had this area here where we have moved just sideways, the way I'm looking at this is that whilst we were in that rising trend channel on 4-hourly chart, we formed a wave 3 here, and then I think what we had here is wave A, in slightly larger. So if I just label that one to say it is a wave A in say one bracket, wave A, then in my way of counting it appears that we've had a normal wave A here, wave A there. Then I think what we had is up to here was a wave B. So in other words, we had a wave A down, then it was some kind of a triangle here, and in a triangle we had A, B, C, D, E, that kind of triangle, and that triangle would probably be better seen like so. Okay, so we had a wave A, B, C, D, E to form a wave B, and then small wave C, and that completed wave 4, and then this final leg up was wave 5. Now if that is correct, then what we have so far is possibly wave A, and currently we are in a progression to complete this small wave B, and when that is over, which could happen tomorrow, then we will be looking for next leg down to form a wave C, and that could easily bring us into around 90 area, or maybe a little bit lower. If we were to do a Fibonacci retracement of the entire leg up, starting from the low we had back in, in earlier when the rally started off, so from here for example, which is back in September, then this here is wave 1, this is 2, we finish wave 3 in parentheses, wave 4 and wave 5. Okay, so that completed this wave 3. Now we are currently retracing into wave 4. So if we put a Fibonacci on that, and if we get 38%, which we've almost got, sorry, 23%, then that will bring us to 90.5. If you get 38%, then we're going to be coming down to somewhere in the region of 88. So if you round it up, say 90 and 88 is approximately area where I'm expecting this wave currently declining to come down into. Okay, and if we even have just AB equals CD, then you can see the height of the first drop. If you measure that from the second drop, then that is also bringing us to an area around 89. So from 90, 50, 90.5 to 88 is approximate area, but we will get an idea about what is happening regarding that once we begin to get some further decline. We might be able to put some other Fibonacci on to get some confluence, but in the general sense, I'm expecting US dollar yen to come down to around 90.5 as a minimum, more likely to be around 90 and possibly even up to 88, before we then go for this last leg of wave 5, which will complete the entire sequence starting from the low we had back here, which is the low of February 2012. February 2012 low. That would complete the 5-wave sequence, and then we will see a much bigger decline after that. Okay, so at the moment we expect some weakness on US dollar yen, Likewise, if you look at the euro, then euro is pretty much in the same sort of situation. That too has formed what we might term as possibly wave 3. I think it's this one here, this wave 3, and we are now retracing into wave 4, and we'll be then going up to make that final leg up, wave 5. Okay, so in this current retracement, after having topped in this area here, it looks like we've had a wave A down, and possibly in this area here, maybe what we have is something like this, something like that. So wave A down, then A, B, C, D, E to form a wave B, and we are now in a currently wave C. And in a wave C, we might have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. So once we get that last leg down, then the euro yen will have bottomed, and again in the same way the Fibonacci retracement of 23% will bring the euro yen pair to probably in the area 177, 118. But if you get any deeper retracement, then we might be coming down lower. So I'm looking for around 117, 118 to 117 as a possible area for potential interim bottom, after which we will see this last leg up to complete this 5 wave move to the upside, which will complete this 5 wave, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So euro yen has some more downside and is continuing to retrace. We look at a CAD yen. CAD yen exactly the same, much like the euro yen, that too has a further downside, and normal Fibonacci retracement, we've already bumped into it at a level of 88.5, but maybe we could decline a bit more to around 87, 86, 87. But if you look at the shorter term, then you can see from the high here we had a wave A down, this area here possibly wave B up, and we're in a wave C. So wave ABC is wave A down, then we had a wave B up, and we are currently, I think this one is not a clear count. It's probably wave A, then A, B and C is the wave B. So I think what it is this one could be a running flat. So wave A down, then A, B and C to give us wave B, and then this one is more like 1, 2, 3, currently consolidating 4, and then final leg down to complete that wave 5. Okay, so in that case this one could be dropping at least back to the retest that low here around 88.5 for the CAD yen. So they all seem to be suggesting that currently they are in a retracement mode. CAD yen, we look at the pound yen, and pound yen again in a very narrow tight range declining trend channel, and it looks as though that was the high. So this could be wave A, ABC down to the wave A, ABC back up to the wave B, and then we've got a wave C here in which we probably have probably 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that gave us a one zigzag, ABC back up as a wave B, and then another lift line. So maybe what we have in here is one more leg down, and that would complete ABC in the first zigzag wave A, ABC back up as a wave B, and then we're expecting a 5 wave decline. So if we may even have that as a 1, that as a 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. So that gives us wave 3, currently 4 and 5. That's what it is. Okay, so we had a ABC here as wave A, ABC back up as wave B, and then 5 wave decline. So quite possibly we will get a retest of the low around 137.75, or maybe a little bit lower to 137, where a potential bottom could be formed. So they all require a final leg down in order for completion of the current correction of the cycle. And because pound has been relatively weak, we've had a much deeper retracement. So that would complete ABC, and these here would not be in play, and then once wave 4 is over, we'll go over into wave 5. And also you can see just about, if we do get like a 38% retracement, we'll go close to there or a little bit lower down, and see we have a trend line going up parallel to the pitchfork, and it's quite possible that trend line could come into play in that area as well. So let me just extend that trend line a little bit and make sure the same slope, something like that. You see, so if you put it on the top here, then you can see it's picking up this top and it's picking up this top. So we could come into that area and possibly form a support from where the dollar yen could, pound yen could bounce strongly along with the most of the other yen pairs. Swiss yen is a little bit like a euro yen. Swiss yen is also completing its down correction. It's come down deeper than we originally anticipated, but it's not unusual because the overall trend is still down, and we may finish up with a minor trend channel coming back into the median rising pitchfork median line, from where we would expect a bounce to complete that final leg up on Swiss yen. Aussie yen is again the same, very much looking like the dollar yen, is that we had a first decline wave A, all of this is the part of wave B, and then we are in a current cycle of wave C. And I think in a wave C we may have possibly 1, 2, this one as 3, retracement 4, and then final leg down wave 5. And once we have that, we could be looking for retest of this last low here in the region of 93, or maybe make another small lower low and then continue higher. And because of the way the current waves are formed, it is difficult to actually draw a down trend line or channel, but you can see just about where this is looking like it might form downtrend channel, something like that. Okay, so that's the Aussie yens, again looking for further weakness. We're looking for New Zealand yen, is again the same story. New Zealand yen has come down, we're currently bouncing back up, but if you drop down to 4 hour, you can see after having made the high over here, we've declined into what looks like to be wave A, wave B, and then this one currently is wave C. So we've got, you know, this final leg to come down here. So they all should be, in fact I think maybe next week sometime they should be completing their retracement, and then yen pairs will continue higher. So yen should correct a bit more, and then we look at the Canadian dollar. Now Canadian dollar has been relatively weak for quite some time, certainly against the US dollar and against some of the other currencies to some extent. Now with the euro CAD, because the euro has been weak as well, what has happened is we've broadly speaking gone sideways. And in fact this is the trade we are trying to stop if we want to trade euro long. Last time when we covered this, we were looking for potential retest of this rising trend line. So that apparently has been tested and held. So if you already entered long on that one, then well done, and in which case you should be able to bring your stop to break even or so. Otherwise we might be able to enter long on the next approach back toward that line, because so far we've been in a triangle. Triangle normally forms in a wave 4. So I think what we've got is this one here should be wave 3. This here is wave 4. Sorry, let me do that again. So here we got wave 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So just to be clear then, is we'll take that one out, take this one out, and see these are 1, 2. So I think what we have here is this last leg up here is wave 3. So let me put that label on. This one here is wave 3, and then we have a triangle, so it's the wave 4, and whether the triangle is complete is a little bit difficult to count, but the way I'm counting is if it's not a perfect triangle, then we've got A, B, C as the wave A, then we've got A, B and C as the wave B, over here wave B. So we got A, B and C. Okay, so that's the first cycle down, like so. And then we've got A, B and C, so we go to larger wave B, and then we are again doing A, B and C. So we should have another test down here. So what I'm looking for now effectively is this final leg down, which I think could easily develop tomorrow, and on back on the retest of this low, or certainly the trend line, so somewhere between 133.80 and possibly 133.50 is where I think we could be looking for possible long entry. If you get to here 133.50, then our stop will have to keep a little bit further away. I would say maybe about 60-70 pip away initially, and then as soon as we get a bounce we bring it to break even fairly quickly, because this rising trend line support is what we are expecting to hold. We're not expecting that to give way. So, but we might get a spike. That's the only thing, you know, if you sort of suddenly come down in a spike form, we might get a spike. So that's why, although we enter anywhere between 33, if we round it up and say 33.50 to possibly a little bit lower, around 33.50 to 33.75 area, that's where we think we will probably find an opportunity to enter. If you look at the RSI, then RSI on 4 hour is currently trending up, as you can see. That goes with the price action trending as well. If you apply a small minor trend line, then you can see RSI has come back to the falling trend line. So on the next price dip we may come down and then we should proceed higher, and that would go with the price dropping down and then bouncing off. So I think eventually that is getting into a place where we could get a trigger long anywhere around 133.75 to 133.50 area is where I'm looking for a possible long entry. Okay, likewise if you go into the pound CAD, then pound CAD is also bottomed, and I've been looking at this for a little while and I'm trying to wonder just exactly what's happening here. And because of the strange nature of the waves, we had this minor trend line coming down. You can see it picked up most of the price action, but this one is protruding out quite significantly. So, and if I was to bring that trend line over there, it's not helping me very much. It might help, of course, only when the price gets there, but the time being is not helping me. So I think what we have is this. This is an ending diagonal. So we had wave 1, then this absolutely strange looking wave 1, then you got wave A, B and C to give us wave 2, then you got wave 3, then again we got A, B and C to give us wave 4, and then this final one here. So it's like an ending diagonal. Okay, if that's an ending diagonal, then that means we already have a bottom formed there. Let me just check on this here. Okay, so what I was trying to show there is on the weekly chart is we had this area as a pivot, and each time price bounced, and there was an expectation that we would get a bounce in that area. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that we have this ending diagonal. So if it's an ending diagonal, then we have already formed a bottom in this area. Okay, and then if you look at the RSI on daily, is providing us with a divergence in 4-hour divergence. And then if you look at the price action, now price action has broken through this short-term trending downtrending line. So this, I think, is a part of a new wave. And also once we get that, we might get a bit of to and fro like this before going up. But in essence, you will see we've got a head, left shoulder and possibly right shoulder formed. And if we look at it in a smaller time frame, then I think here is wave 1 up, wave 2, then this one is wave 3, ABC back as wave 4, and this one is a 5. So if that is 1, then this ABC down is wave 2, and if that's correct, then we are now in the next leg up. So wave 1, wave 2, and in a wave 3 we've started with a 1 and 2, and this one is a 3, so small pullback, and next 4. So really speaking, we would be interested in trying to get long on this one. Okay, so what I'm now expecting is we had this wave 1 and wave 2, we are now in a wave 3, and within wave 3 we go 1, 2, 3, small retracement to give us wave 4, so that could be 38% retracement. And then what we might expect is this, we might expect wave 5, which will probably break above this area of horizontal where we had previously a lot of support, resistance, and we're coming back into that area as a potential resistance. We expect a pullback and then maybe a next leg higher. Okay, then it might be that we might get another pullback. Okay, so what I'm expecting now is we have the wave 1, this is wave 2, now we got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 as the wave 3, a small pullback, and then another leg up higher, maybe up to there, something like that. And then we might come back for, so that will be one complete 5 wave. We might come back and retest that broken, and then we'll continue higher. Now that's what I anticipate, but sometimes when we've done that with the yen pairs earlier on, remember, it never came back to retest or anything. It never gave us an opportunity to get long in the way that we were looking for. So should that happen with this one, then what I'm looking for is that I think we have an inverted head and shoulders, so that's significant. We have an ending diagonal, that's very important, also suggesting that we have a bottom. So two different things confirming potential bottom. We've already had a wave 1 up and wave 2 down, so that again confirms that we are possibly in a new uptrend. I have this minor trend line rising. So what we now should be looking for is possible retracement back to a level of around 156, or maybe a little bit lower, to like well, if this is 1 and if this is 2, then this retracement can't come back too far into it. So I think 156 area is approximate area to get long. 156 area on the pound CAD. Now you know the pound CAD is a beast. Looking at it, you know, the pattern is not very good, and I think that is the nature of the pound, because the pound itself, recently looking at pound dollar, it's almost looking a little bit like this. So we are expecting a retracement back to 156, and I would look to enter to 156, because there also, if it comes to it, then you can see we had a resistance and we come back to test support, and then we might take off. And although we'll have retracement along the way, some of the retracement may not be deep enough for us to consider safe entry. So at the moment now, if you're looking to get long on there, you'd have to keep your stop below this last pivot low here. Now that means over 100 pip, or even this one, which will be like 130 pip. I would allow that initially. If you get a little bit deeper retracement to 155.80, that would be excellent. That would be even better. But really we won't know for sure, so we'd have to consider entering, and we'll keep a stop below this last low here. So either we'll have about 120, 130 pip initial stop loss, or possibly 100 pip initial stop loss. Okay, and we would enter. And once we break out and we clear this resistance here, we could easily then bring it to break even, and then allow some room for this particular currency pair to develop its momentum to go up. Okay, and as I say, we may even find that this rising trend channel will probably develop into something that would guide us for the prices higher. But I think the pound CAD is potentially long on any reasonable retracement, which currently it is trying to retrace. So if you get that retracement during the night, then we might have a trade trigger tomorrow in that area. So pound CAD is potentially long trade. Then similarly we said the euro CAD, if it dropped down a little bit, is ready to go long. We'll look at the Aussie CAD. Now for the Aussie CAD, what we have is this: A, B and C, and that one is ending up in a diagonal. So now I think we should get wave A, B and C like that. So we should get a retracement of this leg, and I'm looking for minimum 38% retracement. That will bring us to 94. If you get 50% retracement, then we'll come into somewhere about 89, 70. So if you round it up to say 90, so between 94 to 90 is approximate area I'm looking for on this one. And it would be A, this here is sideways congestion for B, and then coming down in a wave C, like so. This is on a weekly chart. So if you look at it on a daily, then you see what I mean is that we've had ABC down, we had ABC back up, so wave A in single bracket, wave B in single bracket, and then 5 wave down to form a wave A in double bracket. Okay, so once we form wave A in double bracket, then we've got A, B and C, which is currently in the process of being formed, and as the price is made higher high, we have a potential lower high on the RSI divergence. And then if we look at it on If you look at it in this last leg up, then you can see wave 1, wave 2, this is wave 3, retracing to 4, and we are now almost finalizing for wave 5. If you go on hourly chart, then on this last leg up, we've got possibly 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, and 5. So I think we've not got a long to go, basically, and we should finish up that one, maybe even showing some degree of possible ending diagonal, but we're certainly looking for so 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the 3 and 4. Okay, I think what we have is actually the top is in over here. So we go wave 1, wave 2, then we got -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 to give us wave 3, a small pullback for wave 4, and then finally leg 5. So then this one is the first wave down. So if I now look at it in a 30-minute chart, from this drop here, okay, so we look at that, then probably wave 1, wave 2, then possibly all the way down to here is wave 3, ABC retracement wave 4, and then final leg down wave 5. So maybe if that was a 5 wave up, then we are from here, we are looking for A, B, and C, possibly. And in terms of the RSI, we've got no real divergence yet, although on a 15 minutes we do have a clear divergence. So I think we are in a process of forming a top. If we don't have the retracement 61.8%, let me just add one more retracement on here. (78% retracement). So that's where we have. I think 78% retracement is the one that's going to play with this. Okay. So I think this wave A, wave B, and wave C may well be complete. So if it is complete, then what I expect is this minor trend line to break, to show the new trend is on its way. Okay, this is what I mean. So we're ignoring this spike here, we're using this low, and this low currently conducting, and then also we can put a trend line on that. And if you look at it on a 15 minutes, then either we'll get a retest of the high, or we have already started movement to the downside. Little difficult to tell, but I think really speaking, we should be looking for entering safe trade on here. If we short it right now, for example, then we have to have about 30 pip stop, which will be just above here at 78% retracement. I think the better way would be is to wait for that to retrace a bit higher up and short it with a fairly small stop, or even a stop above the previous high, in which case you'll have about 30 pip or so stop. And the other way of entering is to have a sell stop below this last pivot on our hourly chart. So if you get a price breakdown below 1.05, then we'd enter short with a stop above the high, or if this one continues retracing, then we would enter the short at a higher level around 1.0550 with a stop above the high here. And we are expecting then to have this next leg down with a view that we would be looking to retrace at least back to this level here at 94, or a little bit lower down here at 90. So between 94 to 90. So if you go to 94, then from the current level we're talking about nearly 1100 plus pips. So that could be fairly useful and very substantial. So it's potentially a short lining up, and it could be ready to short almost now. Okay, that's the Aussie CAD. Then the New Zealand CAD is very much the same kind of a story. The New Zealand CAD, as you say, we had a AB as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 as a leading diagonal to form wave A, wave B, and then wave C. And within a wave C, I think we've already had a final wave up, which was 1, 2, and then that was 1, 2, 3 here, 4 and 5. So I think the final 5 wave up, accompanying divergence on the RSI on daily chart, and we are now, I think, on a new downtrend. If you look at this leg down here, is a impulsive 5 wave to the downside. So you go 1, 1, 2, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 to give us wave 3, 4 and 5. So I think it's a complete 5 wave down. We've now retraced in what looks like to be A, B and C possibly, and we have now started the next leg down. So really speaking, I think if the top is not in, then we'll get one more drive to retest this here 85.50 area. That would be the area to short. Okay, so here might be 1, 2, it might be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that forms the wave A, ABC down to the wave B. So really speaking, we're only now looking for another leg higher and look for entry anywhere in that area, which will be 61.8% retracement of this entire drop. So that would come into region of 85.50 area, or maybe fractionally higher at 85. Well, 85.50 I think is a reasonable number. I mean, if it retraces more, then we could get up to like 85.70. So really speaking, if you put this trend line on there, so as long as the price remain above, it will probably retrace higher. But if you break below that rising trend line, then it means the high is already in, and in which case we should be looking to enter short on the break of the pivot, otherwise at a higher level. Okay, so it looks like Canadian dollar could be getting strong against the Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar, which is what we've been saying for a while, that the Aussie and New Zealand will probably be the weakest two currency pair of the resource currencies, like Canadian, Aussie and New Zealand, and we are seeing that in this. And the CAD yen we've looked at when we were looking at the yen pairs. Okay, so we'll go over now a couple of other pairs. We're going to look at, for example, a pound pair, pound dollar. Now the pound dollar, I've been saying that we've had everything almost suggesting that the gap open down on the weekend was probably the final low, and then since then we've got a rising wedge or leading diagonal, which I've labeled it as a 1 or an A. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, so 1 or an A. Then we had this wave 2 or a retracement, and maybe if at the moment I've labeled it as a 2 or a B, but it's possible that this was wave A, this was B, and in which case tomorrow as the dollar tops we might get this final low in a pound dollar, but it won't take out this last low here. Okay, so we're in a flat. So we got wave A, and then wave B is going to be over here, flat. So we should be looking, if you're looking to go long using the pound dollar, then we should be looking to get long somewhere in the region of 151 to 152 area, because after having had 5 wave up, we've got wave A, wave B, and we should be getting wave C down. So that would be the area to get long, and the stop can be just below this last low here, because if this is the new trend and if this is the wave A or a 1 and this is wave B or a 2, then you do not expect price to be taking out this last low. If it takes out, then we've got something else playing at. So really I would not give this one too much room. If you short it at 151, then really speaking 40-50 pip initially is the maximum we would allow, but I'm suspecting that, you know, we've got RSI divergence on the hourly as well as on the 4 hourly as well as on the daily, but on the daily you have to use this low here, okay, that is this low here, which is a June 2012 low, and we've got a divergence on that. So I think I'm fairly confident about this pound potentially pushing higher, and if this is one and currently in a flat correction as a wave 2, then wave 3 will be very strong, and we should not ignore that. Even if we don't trade pound against the dollar, we can use the strength, the relative strength of the pound against the other currency pair, where we might get a good entry like the pound Canada possibly, or pound Aussie or pound New Zealand lining up. Okay, so that is a pound bottoming, and I think we will be looking for dollar topping out tomorrow, which would give us an entry long on the pound as well. Then we similarly look at the euro Aussie, euro USD. Now the euro USD, this rising trend line has been broken, so for the time being I'll leave it there, but it has been broken, so technically we are below that trend line, and therefore either minor breach as a false break and the price will strongly recover, or that we may not be able to use this trend line as a guide, because all we've had is a low here and a low here, and his price came into it but never particularly reacted to that trend line. So in that particular sense it may not serve the purpose anymore. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw a trend line coming in from here, and let me show you how I've done it. So I'm using the low we had here back in 1st of August 2012. Okay, so on the way down on the way down on 8th of January, my apology, 8th of January 2012 low. So I'm using that as one of the low, okay, to put my trend line on, and then subsequently, so this is the low here, that's the low, and then subsequently what I'm doing is I'm going to then pick out possibly actually I'm also going to change the color of that one to blue. Okay, so what I'm using is I'm using alternate pivot. So I've used that low and then this high, so it's alternate pivot. And also here, when the price went up and made a September high, came back down and supported on that trend line twice. We broke below, went back up, supported on that trend line before rotating up. So we could come back into that trend line quite possibly tomorrow. And what that would mean is that if you put a Fibonacci on the entire rise from the low of July, we've so far already come into the area here, that is 38% retracement. We might make a minor breach of that, something like 2950 to 2970. And also where I have the dotted line is an area where previously in January, February and March of 2012 we had a lot of support in that area. That pivot comes in here. So basically that's an area where I'm thinking that the Euro USD will bottom. So if we look at that, that's where it's coming, that blue line coming up from the bottom. We might spike into that, we might never even get to that, but the dotted line is where we had the February, March and April of 2012 support area. We're going to come into that area. That would be around 130 or just fractionally below 130. Okay, now the other thing is that if I was to put this swing here, from there we get 100% coming into this area, and we've got several other Fibonacci also coming into that area. And see this low here, that comes in at just exactly the same level that we had back in 2012 in January, February, March and April, where we found that support. So I'm still expecting a euro to form a bottom in that area, or we might get a sudden sharp sell-off as a spike and probably form a bottom around 29.50 area. So between 29.50 area and 130 is where I am expecting a potential bottom to form for a euro then to have completed this double zigzag down. And what we might then have, if you look at it daily, is we might have this large capital A, capital B and capital C. So that completed the big capital A in bracket. So if I put it up there like that, big capital A in bracket, or we might have that as A, B and C, and then this one either possibly either an X wave, or it might form a big capital B. We won't know which one, and it won't be that important right now. It will become important later on. So what I'm expecting is if we just have that, then this leg here looks very much like this one here. Here we had ABC, fairly narrow, clean downtrend channel. This is the same as well. So I am expecting a bottom to form in that area, and then after that I'm basically expecting Euro USD to start trending to the upside. Along with the pound, it will start trending to the upside. Okay, so then we will, once we get a bottom, we'll know that that trend line we've just applied, this blue trend line with alternate pivot holds. Okay, and because that is going to bottom, it is also going to do the same with the Aussie, Euro Aussie dollar. Okay, so that just something you need to keep a watch out for. For example, if I just quickly show you Euro Aussie, you see Euro Aussie, see on a daily chart, is we coming back into that area. Okay, so we've broken above, we came here, found that as a resistance, dropped back down, came back as a resistance, dropped down, went back up, and we've now come back into that region as a potential retest, and the 100 period moving average coming in just below that, and also it is approximately 61.8% retracement of this last leg up. So really in this area tomorrow I expect, as the euro bottoms against several currencies including the dollar, I think also we should be looking for a potential long entry in the Euro Aussie anywhere between 126.70 to where the price is now. So currently we are looking at in that 100 pip range. We should be able to enter a long entry and have a stop about say 70-80 pip below. So maybe in the region of 125.70 area maybe, which is below this rising trend line. We're coming back into the baseline, and this horizontal support, moving averages, everything is going for it. And we've got this cup and handle broken, now come back to retest it, everything going for it. So you should be able to really consider going long using your normal money management rule. And I think we should be looking for a strong leg to the upside. And if we're looking for a strong leg to the upside, then I think this Euro USD will also start doing long, and we'll get another ABC on here, which means that if it did another ABC, we would be coming into this falling trend line on the weekly chart, and we'll be looking quite easily to be approaching something like 140 area on the euro. At the moment it seems almost impossible to see how that can happen, but then many of the moves have taken place in exactly the same way. Okay, so that is interesting. The other thing is, if I just test this trend line and see applied there, you can see I mean, I can if I do a close of the candle on here on the daily, almost comes into that. If I do the highest part of that, we just don't quite meet there, as you can see. So I think that the trend line support is also, if we missed it here, we might even miss it on the bottom. That's also possible. Sometimes it happens undershoot there, we can get undershoot on the other one. So I'm looking for a bottom in the Euro USD, and we should be looking for going long. Even if we don't get a big long-term uptrend, we should be able to retrace back to 50% retracement, which will bring us to something like 133.50 area. So potentially we could be looking for good 300 plus pips. So I think it's worth considering entering long if you want to enter Euro USD. Otherwise, better if you go long using Euro Aussie. Okay, Euro Canada, just like the pound, just like the dollar index, dollar Canada is also, you can see it's at a very deep retracement. Okay, it is retraced of this drop. It is retraced almost just over, in fact, almost retraced 88.6%. So it's gone beyond the 78 and it's in between. So it's about 88. So it's about 75. Well, about 80 actually, 82, 83% retracement so far. We have a minor divergence forming on the daily, on the 4 hour, clear divergence. But more importantly, if we count the waves here, we got wave A, wave B, and we are in a wave C. And in a wave C, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are in a final leg up 5. We drop down to 15 minutes. Not sure whether we will see anything. On 15 minutes, you can see we go 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 here, and we are going into the 5th wave, wave 3, and wave 5. There will be a divergence. So if the Canadian dollar hasn't topped, it is very close to topping, and I think they will all top with the dollar topping out. And so I'll just show you on daily chart in Canada. You could just about maybe over here, no, over here, no, that trend line is not holding. So okay, there's no immediate trend line there, but nevertheless Canadian dollar should be topping out along with the dollar index. And once it's topping out, then of course we should be coming back down, back to this horizontal level here. Dollar Canada, pound, and euro. So that's all then. That is all. So that is all then. I think thank you for this session, for joining me. And hopefully tomorrow we will get some confirmation of some of the trades either triggering or getting very, very close, and maybe triggering early next week, maybe like open after the weekend. Hope some of these trades that we are lining up will work out for you. Enter with a small position with a view of allowing initial position to be locked in with some profit, and then on the subsequent retracement is to look to add and then gradually build positions like in the Euro Aussie or in the pound pairs like the pound Aussie, pound New Zealand, etc. And dollar Canada should be quite good for the short position also. Okay, so with that I will conclude, and I look forward to you joining me tomorrow. In the meantime, I think I'll stop my recording here. I will post them to you as soon as I've uploaded it. And I look forward to you joining me tomorrow with the US dollar pair, along with the other charts and end of the week review. Thank you.